Yan eh. K is greater than a squared over 4. Mahimo siya og under the complex ang iyang poles. Okay? So, yung na ang may tabo. So, you can now analyze the system. Okay, na-simplify naman na to ang system. So, na problem din sa book, no? Basically, similar na ni kaganina, you just simply determine the peak time, the percent overshoot, and the settling time of your system. So, again, if you apply feedback and control system, if you apply feedback na if you apply feedback, no, aning transfer function, then you are required to find for the peak time, the percent overshoot, and the settling time. So apply lang ang formula kanina, no, with the feedback na transfer function equal to 1, then you will arrive with this transfer function. So this one, familiar man tani last time, this is omega n squared. So therefore, omega n is equal to 5. And this one is our B. Then that is equal to this one. You already have omega n, then we can find the damping ratio, no, equal to 0.5. Then you can now solve for if you already have the damping ratio and the omega n, you can now solve for the peak time, the percent overshoot, and the settling time. Formula lang, no? Gikan sa katong chapter 4 na itong discussion last week. Question so far? May question ba sinang laba mo diyan, ha? Mga tulog na mo diyan. Hopefully, wala na. Sige, so anyway, napailain mga examples today, but more likely, this example, by the way, is more na siya designing example. You find the value of K. You find the value of K such that the percent overshoot is equal to 10%, no? Ang percent overshoot. So basically, baliktad lang, no? We already have this percent overshoot, pabaliktad inyong buhaton. So, pabaliktad din yung buhaton. Then, K, you find omega n in terms of K. You find the damping ratio in terms of K. Then, you apply that in the formula. Itong formula kaganina, which is equal to this one. Okay? Kaning formula. Nahamuan ni ganina. Then, you can now determine the percent overshoot, which is equal to 10% na ko na percent overshoot. So, if we rewrite it, no? Kaya lang So, if you rewrite it here, so, percent overshoot na ko, no? The percent overshoot OS equal to e to the negative the damping ratio pi over square root of 1 minus damping ratio squared. Okay, so you already have the damping ratio, and this percent overshoot is equal to 10%. Then you can solve for the percent, the value of K, because this damping ratio is in terms of K. Okay, so if you do that, the value of K is equal to 17.9. So, bali, ang may tabo na yun, kung na kayo na nga system, then ang imong target is 10% overshoot, then mabutang lang kag op-amp, operational amplifier nga ang gain is 17.9. Inana lang ang buhatan, no? So, okay? So, inana lang para makaproduce ka og 10% nga overshoot. Question so far? Wait lang. Okay, the next topic is about kung wala question, mo-proceed ko sa sa next nga topic, no? Which is the signal flow graph, no? Which is actually different from katong di-discuss na kanina. So, this is a different method in reducing your block diagrams. So, this time, medyo malibog mo sa hayaan, no? Kay kung maanad mo sa block diagram, then mo-move mo sa signal flow graph, ma-mix up ninyo sa high. Okay, so you need to pay attention when you're using signal flow graph and the block diagram the method. Okay, so before anything else, I need to explain to you first, no, what are the elements of kanang a signal flow graph. So, okay, so signal flow graph, duha lang kabuok actually ang duha lang kabuok yung elements, no? So we have a signal and a node. Now, the difference is that sa signal flow graph, ang flow is ang transfer function. Ang signal is naka-steady. No? For example, R1, these are the inputs, R1, R2, R3, naka-steady na sila. Ang ni-flow is ang mga transfer function. Yan na. Okay? medyo opposite siya sa katong kuan kanina sa block diagram. Sa block diagram, ang mo-flow is ang signals, which are the input R1 and the output C of S, no? R1 of S or R of S and C of S. But this time, ang mo-flow is ang transfer function. Now, in this example, the V of S here, nag-receive siya og mura siya murag nodal analysis. Summation lang of all the signals nga ni-enter ana nga node multiplied by the asa siya gikan nga node. So, in this case, si VS is kaning VS, kanina lang blue. Wait lang. Si VS kani red. Kaning VS, no, which is kana nasa tulo ka book signals nga na-receive R1G1 minus R2G2 plus R3G3. Then iya rin i-distribute, no, into 3 pagka-signals. Then we have C1 is equal to in this example, wala na ipagawa si C1. Si C2 na lang diretsyo, no? Si C2, C2 is equal to VS times G5. Which is, kanang nasa ibabaw kung nakakita ninyo. And if you are interested with C3 also, that is negative G6 times VS. Or pwede pa na ito baliktaran. Negative VS times G6. Muna siya si C3. Okay, so more likely magpari-pariho naman siya itong kuwan ka ganina, no? Block diagram. But ang medyo confusing lang na part ang block diagram ang flow, no? Sa signal flow graph. Now, it's important to interpret, no, or to know how to convert diagrams into signal flow graph. No? So, katong familiar na to nga form kanina, the cascaded form, the parallel form, and the feedback na form. Ato tong what's this, i-translate into a signal flow graph. Okay, so let's do it one at a time. In converting a block diagram in a cascaded na form, ang first na buhatan lang is that you need to map out what are the signals. So in this example, we have signal RS. So ito na siya i-map out dito. We have X2, no, X2 di siya. X1, we have X2, X1, and C of S. Then, i-connect lang ninyo ng mga dots na yun, no? Kana i-connect. Do not forget the mga transfer functions, which is G1, G2, and G3. So, all in all, muna nimo ang equivalent, no, of the block diagram in cascaded na form. Okay? So, dili ra lisod, no? Mora ginitimanan ninyo nga ang nasa nga mo flow is ang transfer function, dili ang signal. For the what's this? For the parallel nga parallel nga conversion of block diagram into signal flow graph. Same ra gyapon, no? You have RS, CRS, naman na CRS, si X1, no? V1 na diri, X1 ni siya, ito iputang X1. Si X1, mo ni X1, X2, then si X3, then kanina yun, C. Then don't forget the flow of the signals, no? So i-connect lang yun na siya diha. Connect. Then you notice, para ma-connect nimo na siya dili na kay kanang 1 unity na siya nga flow. 1 lang. So mo na siya extra na step, no? Kung i-convert nimo ang parallel na form into a signal form. For the transfer function or the block diagram in feedback na form, so the same nagyapon na i-map out lang ninyo. For example, si RS, muna si RS, si E, muna si E, then si C. Mura man na mga tulo ka buok major nga mga signals, no? Then you connect the dots, no? This one, wala na siya. 1 lang ang iyang 1 lang iyang gain. This one is G of S. Then I feedback dayon nga ni sunod diri, which is negative H of S. You notice, wala may summing junction ko diri. So ang negative na signal is carried by the transfer function H of S. So yun na pag-convert sa block diagram in feedback na form into a signal flow graph. So i-map out lang gid ninyo. Kinahanglan lang inyo masabtan asa ang mga signals. May question so far? Nagpangutana? Asa nalibog? Pangutana? Okay, so kung wala pangutana, let's proceed to let's have this one, the Mason's rule. Si Mason's rule, nag-ingon siya nga pwede na to i-reduce ang isa ka signal flow graph, complex kayo nga signal flow graph using the Mason's formula. I-apply lang yung formula, no? So, you need to pay attention with this, no? Kaya medyo diri mo malibog ani. So, Ang transfer function daw kuno C of G of S, which is equal to C of S over R of S, no? Yung output is C of S, ang input is R of S, is equal to the summation of Tk and delta K over delta. Ang definition is kanang nasa ubos unsa ng mga K, Tk o delta K and delta. Okay, si K is the number of forward path. So, kung pila ka number of forward path, mo nang expect ninyo nga number of terms sa kanang summations. Kanang summation. So, meaning kung na'y tulo ka buok number of forward path, you will be expecting tulo ka buok numerator sa ibabaw. No, nga kanang naka-multiply ang T and delta, Tk and delta K. Okay, so the Tk is the kth forward path. So for example, kung tulo ka buok forward path, so the first nga forward path, then i-multiply mo ni siya sa first pod nga delta K, then plus, no, bali magyanani mahitabo, no? Na kay summation kani, kung i-add mo na siya equal to T1 delta 1 plus T2 delta 2 plus T3 delta 3. Okay, delta 3. All over delta. And the delta is 1 minus summation of loop gains plus summation of non-touching loop gains taken 2 at a time minus summation of non-touching loop gains taken 3 at a time plus summation of non-touching loop gains taken 4 at a time. So, isa rin, ako na-explain sa inyo unsa ni siyang non-touching loop gains later, no? But you need to remember, may pattern, no? Negative, positive, negative, positive, and so on, no? That. So, mo na ang pattern, negative, positive, negative, positive. So, 1 minus, dayon plus, minus, and so on. And ang delta K is the delta, tapos tanggalon to ninyo mga loop gain terms in the touching the kth forward path. So, tanggalon lang ninyo itong mga loop gains nga nag-touch sa forward path. Okay, so, na-example para mas masabtan ninyo, medyo libog siya karon. But we have an example here, no? So, what is a loop gain? No? So, ang loop gain is inyong tanawon mga loops. No? Loops meaning pawayan kag loops kanang naay signal nga nibalik. Example, G2 ani nibalik dayon, no? Nibalik. That's a loop gain. We have G2 H1. Another here is G4, nibalik siya, H2. Then we have G4, G5, G4, G5, then nibalik po na yun, H3. Then we have another, G4, G6, H3. Nasabtan, patamsa, palihog ba? If you understand the loop gains, thumbs up. De La Cruz na maminaw. About the others? Sige, thank you. So, hopefully klaro sa inyo ang unsa ang loop gains. Then, next is the forward path. From its name itself, tanawon lang ninyo ang mga number of what are the forward path gains, no? So meaning pa-straight lang yun siya padalong sa tumoy, no? So pila ka buok ang dalan padalong sa tumoy. So here we have G1, G2, no? G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, then G7, abot na rin siya sa tumoy. So isa na siya ka forward path, no? Isa na siya ka forward path. Yes, Gemma. Sa question na ni. Sige, pambalik ko na. Minaw balik ha. So, again, ang forward path gain is, ang loop gain is anything na nag-loop, no? Ganang ni forward tapos ni balik. Forward ni balik, no? So, kani dire makita ni may bawaan ninyo na siya ang loop gain kung yun ani no, nagsugod ka dire, ni forward ka dito tapos ni balik sa sayang gisuguran. That's a loop gain. So, if you look at here, G2 H1, muna siya G2 H1. We have also G4 H2. Then we have G4 G5 G4 G5 H3. Kani. Then we also have G4 G6, no, G4 G6 H3 ni balik dire. That's a loop gain, no? These are the loop gains aning example. Nagets na? Sige. Then the forward path na napamutang-utana ni. Again, sa forward path, tanaw na tanaw, humana man ta sa isa. The second forward path is G1, G2, G3, G4, dayon dire G6, then G7. So again, ang forward path is dapat dili mo balik, no? Straight forward lang yun. Padulong gusto mo eh. That's a forward path. So in this case, we have two kabuok forward path gains. So we have K is equal to 2. No? Gikan sa katong equation ni na sa Mason's rule, K is the number of forward path gains. No? So in this example, atong K ani is equal to 2. So expect na T1 plus T1 times delta 1. No? May expect ang yung nani nga T1 delta 1 plus T2 delta 2 all over delta. Okay? So, next is to identify how many non-touching loop gains. So, from its name itself, mga loop gains nga wala nag-touch. No? Mga loop gains nga wala nag-touch. So, atong i-identify na. So, taken 2 at a time. No? Taken 2 at a time. So, we have non-touching loop gains is we have G1, G2, G2, H1, G2, H1, isa ka loop gain, does not touch with G4, H2, no? Wala siya nag-touch. That's taken 2 at a time. We also have G2, balik ko na to, G2, H1, kana, then wala na siya nag-touch, aning a loop gain. G4, G5, then H3. Okay? That's another loop gain. Then, another loop gain is G2, no? G2, H1, dayon G4, H6, H3. No? That's another non-touching loop gains. No? The rest, si G4 and si G6, G4, G6, kani sila bali, kani, and kana, they are also loop gains but they are touching each other. Okay? Touching each other. So, dili na to siya maklasify as non-touching loop gains. So, these are non-touching loop gains. Now, in this example, wala tayo taken 2 at a time, no? Wala tayo taken 2 at a time. So, now, we are now ready to formulate the delta. So, si delta is, tinundering si delta is non-touching loop gains 1 minus loop gains plus non-touching loop gains taken 2 at a time. So, in this example, kung ato na siyang tiwason nga example, may mo na siya ngayon ani, no? In this example, we have G of S equal to C of S over R of S equal to, ganina na-identify naman ito na ito, no? We have, nag-expect tawag T1 delta 1 plus T2 delta 2 all over delta, no? Now, si delta na to diri, wala din na to na-solve si delta. Si delta is equal to 1 minus, medyo taas din yun, no? 1 minus, i-add lang ninyo nito na, no? Katong loop gains kanina, dagan-dagan na ba to? These are the loop gains, no? I-add lang nito nan, kanatanan ng loop gains. These are my, kanitanan loop gains, ako na naisulatan. These are the loop gains. We have G2, H1, dito na ko i-apil lang anong kana, plus G4 plus H2 plus G4 G5 H3 plus G4 G6 H3 na, no? Huwag na rin. Pwede mabangga. These are all the loop gains, no? Plus the non-touching loop gains, no? The non-touching loop gains. So, the non-touching loop gains, i-add lang niya siya. Taken 2 at a time. So, plus, yun na, dako kay na siya nga, no? Actually, taas di siya nga equation manggod. So, the non-touching loop gains is G2 H1 multiplied by G4 H2 plus G2 H1 G4 G5 H3 plus G2 H1 G4 G6 H3. So, then, wala na tayo minus, no? Kay wala may taken 3 at a time. So, di ala tama na nga to ang delta. Now, the forward path, kaning T1 and T2, these are forward path, no? Katong kaganina. If we label this, yun ano na din siya, no? This is equal to T1. This is equal to T2. Now, ang pagkitaon na lang nato is ang delta 1. So, si delta 1, no, din na ko ibutang si delta 1, pasensya kaya medyo gubot atong napasubo mo ko, supposedly dili naman tani solbaron. Kinatayan na the example. Si delta 1 is equal to delta minus, or dili minus, i-remove ninyo mga touching loop gains. So meaning, si delta 1 is basically equal to i-remove ang mga touching loop gains. So meaning, ang mabilin delta 1 is equal to 1, delta 2 is equal to 1 gihapon. I-remove man, no, dili i-appeal sa equation. So for example, this loop gain, akong ikuan na, this loop gain, kani nga loop gain is touching, kani nga loop gain is touching, kani nga loop gain is touching T1 and T2. The same time, kani po sila touching na silang tanan. So basically, kaning tanan, tungod kay nag-touch silang tanan ani nga loop nga forward path gain, ano, tungod kay nag-touch sila ani nga loop gain, kani, and kani nga loop gain, then i-eliminate, no, sila tanan sa delta 1. So therefore, delta 1 and delta 2 is simply equal to 1. Okay? So, yun na actually kasimple, no? Then algebra na lang dayon pag-apply sa sa formula. Question so far? May question na? Clarification? Wala na. So let's move on to the next example. In the next example, we have this one. So again, we need to identify the number of loop gains, no? So if you look at the diagram, the number of loop gains is isa ni siya the loop gain. This is one loop gain, G1, G4. G2, H1, then G4, H2. This one is G7, H4. Then kaning dako kayo na loop. So all in all, we have 5. Ang ika-5 is kani. Ang ika-5 is kani. Di man dahil, sakto dahil. Forward, pat man nila isa. Madulong man dahil. So, din dahil. Moro rin na siya. Upat ka buok, loop gain. Okay, klaro no? Ganun upat. So, these are the 4 loop gains. Then, we need also to identify the forward path gain. So, ang forward path gain is isa lang kabuok, no? Dili na siya makaadto dito kay reverse man. So, ang direction is going ra gyud dito, no? Going ra dito ang direction. So, the forward path gain is G1, G2, G3, G4, and G5. So, isa lang kabuok atong forward path gain, which is this one. Nasabdan? Patamsa kaliyog, Sige. So, next is to identify the non-touching loop gains, no? The non-touching loop gains. So, these are the non-touching loop gains. Si G2H1 is non-touching with G4 and H2, no? And nakay G2 H1 G4 H2 is non-touching loop gain. Dayon na kay G2 H1 G7 H4. Dayon na kay G4 H2 is non-touching with this one, G7 H4. The rest is touching na dayon. Okay, so kana lang, no? So, okay. So, these are the number of non-touching loop gains. Okay, so these are the non-touching loop gains taken 2 at a time. Mo ning gilista na to ganina, no? Tulong ka book loop gains. Okay, so after that, we are now ready to draft our. By the way, naapa ito sumpay din, na non-touching loop gains taken 3 at a time. So, ang taken 3 at a time, tulo man to sila ka non-touching loop gains kaganina. If you remember this one is non-touching with this one, and this one, tulo sila ka buok non-touching. So, i-multiply lang nan siya, no? Nata isa ka buok non-touching loop gains taken 3 at a time. So, tulo sila ka buok at the same time. No? Sa kato example na to ganina, wala tayo tulo ka buok at the same time. Duha ra gyud siya at the same time. So, nata additional nga non-touching loop gains, no? Which are kani siya. Okay, so we are now ready to draft or to write our delta. So our delta here is 1 minus kani mo nitong tulo ka buok, upat ka buok na loop gains, if you remember. This one is the first non-touching loop gain. The second touching, taken 2 at a time. This is the third nga non-touching loop gains. Kanina, kani, no? Itong gisulat na ito kanina. Dayon, the last term, if you recall, minus na siya, no? So, minus plus minus. Taken 3 at a time. Muna siya actually. Taken 3 at a time. Muning G2H1, G4H2, G7H4. Now, ang imo ang delta K, which is isa lang kabuok atong delta K, if you look at the diagram or the flow graph, mao ni ato ang forward path gain. Isa lang kabuok nga loop nga path gain ang wala ni touch kanilang G7H4, which is dili mo ni siya atong dapat i-appeal dito sa ato ang delta K. So, kung balikan na to, ato ang delta K or delta 1, no, is kanira ang wala ni touch sa ato ang forward path. So, basically, this is the forward path muna ito ang T1 nga term, and this one is our delta nga term. So it's a matter na lang dayon of inputting all the values of G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, G7, G6. No. Wala na apple, lagi na apple ang G6 dito sa delta. And H4, no, to the equation. Basically, more na siya si Mason's rule, no? Okay, so I think that's all, no, for tonight or for this discussion. Question so far? Na question about this one? Naipangutan na? Lisod ba or dili? Medyo kuti lang siya, no? Pero actually, dili man siya lisod. Systematic lang. Systematic. You need to familiarize, if not memorize the how the process, no, or the system, how to do it. Question so far? May pangutan na? Clarification? Wala clarification. Sige, kung wala clarification, next week is quiz number first quiz, no, of the chapter. So, ang coverage sa quiz is chapter 4. Then we'll have another quiz na po dayon after next week. That will be chapter 5. Klaro? Question?
Good evening, sir. Anong ikaduhang homework, sir?
Second homework na siya. Isabay lang ninyo siyang submit sa ako next week.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sige. Mark, question?
Ay sir, napasa na ba yan mo tong homework na number pa?
Okay, okay na. May problema? No problem.
Sir.
Sige. Sige, kung wala na question, it's already 6 p.m. Yes, Ubaldi.
Same day na pasahan sir, Friday na Japan.
Pag-submit, Thursday.
Okay sir.
Dito ra ta dito ra mo mag-quiz. Basin dili na siguro ako mo conduct sa quiz basin si Halil na. Ano pa siyang istoryahon. Okay, so kung wala na yung question, I think that's all for tonight, no? Thank you for attending the class. See you next week. May gabi.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
By the way, the resources na gigamit is all came from the book na itong ginagamit. So, just study the book na. Tuanitan nandito. Medyo di pa simplify lang nakuha ng presentation. Thank you. May gabi.